You know, the good thing about this modern technology is if you want to turn me off, you just have to click the button. I want to tell you more about the intercom, you know, at Oakhurst School.
Richard's a little drunk today, sorry.
The walkie-talkie didn't... Are you really drunk? The walkie-talkie really didn't work, as I told you. So I said to the superintendent, we must get... It's really not safe for me not to be able to be in touch, or at least the office, in touch with the classrooms. So over Christmas one year, they bought a used system that must have been older than me. And they didn't put it behind the walls. It was hanging from the ceiling. All the wires went all over the school. And so that worked a little bit better. And again, the center thing was in the office, and every room had something on the wall, a speaker. I guess we could talk to the school, to the classes, and the classes could talk to me. So one day, there was a teacher in the new wing. Mrs. Stats taught second grade. She loved to play the piano. She loved to put on shows. I'm really not sure how much she taught the boys and girls. But anyhow, she was always putting on shows. And when she put several a year, and when she put on a show, many of them were patriotic, and I approved of that. We all had to stop what we were doing to help her. The head custodian would have to go down and move furniture. Mrs. Pembleton, the school aide, would have to go down and watch the children while she was playing the piano or something. I don't know. And the principal also had to help. Well, I went down. She had me climb. I don't like heights, but she had me climbing on a ladder to string something up in her room for the show, which this time was going to be in her classroom. And I got down and I said, am I discharged now? Yes, I could leave. So I went back to the office and I said to Mrs. Scott, you know what? That Mrs. Stats is a ding-a-ling. Okay. All of a sudden, students came down to the office with notes. Mr. V, turn off the intercom. Mr. V, did you know the intercom was off? Erica Stern got the teacher across the hall to watch her class because she was so hysterical she had to run to the bathroom. And then she came down, and for days after that, every time she looked at me, she started to laugh. It was quite a thing around the school. The funniest thing is, either Mrs. Stats didn't hear me, because she was playing the piano and the kids were practicing, or she chose not to say anything, or she misunderstood me. But anyhow, I never had a conversation about that with Mrs. Stats. So I think that system is still in. It's not used anymore in the old Oakhurst building, which is the administration room, the building. And I would hope that they wouldn't tear it down. They can tear the new wing down because the older wing was in much better condition than the new wing. And one time the new wing had water coming in through the neon lights. They were on, and I said, the whole school's going to blow up. And they called in an architect. That was another time we had an architect come in. And I said, you know what's wrong? The water is coming in because the roof. I was looking for a word. And a second grade group of children walked past me, and I looked at one of them and I said, "So-and-so, what makes the roof? What's wrong with the roof that the water comes in?" And he looked at me, second grade, and said, "The pitch is wrong. The pitch, the slant of the roof is wrong." So that was another time I was going to send him up to be principal, and I would be in the second grade. Then there was the time Mrs. Worthington was also in the new wing, and she taught second grade. And she always had live things in her office, and she had a snake. The children named him Snakespeare. I think she did it so I wouldn't come in and watch her teach, because she knew I really was not very happy with snakes. But he was in a cage. And one day I came in the morning, and Bill McLaughlin, who was a wonderful head custodian, came up. He says, "Mr. V, Snakespeare is missing. I went to open the classroom, and he's not in his cage." Oh my God. Even if I closed the door to the office, he could slither in, because there was always spaces around the doors. Nothing was secure. Well, the children were very upset. Snakespeare was gone, and we forgot about him. Months later, I think it was that same school year, Mrs. Worthington comes down to the office. She said, "You have to do something. I can't stand on the floor of my room." I looked at her and I said, "What?" She said, "No, it's boiling hot. The floor of my room is so hot I can't stand on it, and of course the children can't put their feet on it either, it burns them." So I thought, well, poor Mrs. Worthington, she wasn't that elderly, but she's lost it. So I went down to her room and I touched the floor, and she was right. It was like it was on fire. So we moved the children out and called the head custodian. There was some kind of a trap door or something, and he went down, and one of the heating pipes was leaking, shooting hot water all over the crawl space. So I'm waiting for him to come up to say what it was, what was happening. And he came up and he said, "Okay, I turned off the hot water. We'll have to call the maintenance department. But guess what?" And he leans down and he picked up Snakespeare. Snakespeare was living in the crawl space, had grown much too long. I didn't like him when he was little. And he was well. I guess the mice who got down there provided his food, but that was the story of Snakespeare.